All right, we're going to start with grammar on page 37. Go ahead and open your books up. All right. We're talking about adjectives today. This is the Learn It page for this week. And we're talking about an adjective that describes a noun or a pronoun. And there are some really important questions that we need to learn on how to identify an adjective. So here we have an adjective tells which one, what kind, how many, or whose. Now, here's what you need to memorize. You need to ask yourself, is it telling me which one, what kind, how many, or whose? Those are the questions you need to remember when you're looking for an adjective. An article adjective, remember we know articles, we've been talking about that a lot. A and the is a special type of adjective that signals that a noun is coming. It's the word right before the noun that comes. And you can test if a word is an adjective by putting the word between an article and a noun. So on the side here, you can see this little test. If you can put the blank pen, then you know that middle word is an adjective, like the blue pen, or the crazy pen, or the huge pen, or the tiny pen. It tells what size, what color, what kind, and that's a test you can do to see if the word you're looking at is an adjective. Here's an example too. The happy soldiers talked. An adjective usually comes before the word it describes. So when you look at soldiers and you ask yourself what kind of soldiers, well, they're happy soldiers. So that tells what kind of soldiers they are. They're happy soldiers. It describes. The dwarf gave his gift to the soldier. Because the possessive pronouns, remember pronouns are the ones that take the place of a noun. So a lot of times we use he, her, or it, or something like that in place of a noun. Here's some other examples of pronouns: my, your, his, her, its, our, their. And they function as adjectives too. So they're pronouns, but they're also adjectives. You will now mark them as adjectives. So the pronoun his replaces dwarf and functions as an adjective. Whose gift is it? It's his gift. So that's how you're going to decide. You're going to look for that noun and ask yourself, which one, what kind, how many, or whose? And when you ask those questions, that will help you identify the adjective. So for this one, you see the noun gift, and you might ask yourself, whose gift is it? Well, it's his gift. See what I mean? So gift is the noun and his is describing whose gift it is. So that is the adjective. Okay. Find the nouns and pronouns in this sentence. Once you find a noun or pronoun, ask the adjective questions to identify the adjectives. And then this is how we're going to label it in our work. ADJ, that stands for adjective. Write ADJ above each adjective. So here's the sentence. The three soldiers used the dwarf's first gift to wish for a fine castle. Their gifts pleased them. The first noun we come to is soldiers, right? Because those are people. Remember, nouns are person, place, or thing. So the three soldiers, and you're going to ask yourself, well, which ones? Which one, which soldier? The three soldiers. See how that describes which one for the soldier? And then dwarf's first gift. So gift is the noun here. And then we're trying to figure out whose gift is it, right? Gift is the noun. Whose gift? Remember, these are the questions we're asking ourselves to find the adjective. So whose gift is it? It's the dwarf's first gift. So this one actually has two adjectives before the noun. Castle, what kind of castle? Fine castle. That's the adjective. Gifts, again, whose gifts? Their gifts. All right. Now we're going to talk a little bit about quality adjective. And a quality adjective dresses up writing because it creates a strong image or feeling. So it's a really descriptive word. And we're going to learn this in grammar, but we're also eventually going to be practicing this in your writing too. And when you put it in your writing, it makes your writing sound really great when you're using a quality adjective. Instead of it's a nice day outside, you could say it's a beautiful day, or it's a wonderful day, giving a little more description. Or it's a stormy day. That's another great adjective. You can imagine what a stormy day looks like. So adding those quality adjectives give it even more of a visual for you when you're reading it. A weak adjective. So there's a difference between a strong or quality adjective and a weak adjective. And we can imagine weak, they're kind of boring, they're overused, or they're not very clear, which is the word vague. It's just kind of blah. So look for quality adjectives in this book and write them on the quality adjective collection page on Appendix 2. So in the back of your book, there's a place for you to make a list. And when you come across a great adjective that's a quality adjective that gives you a visual, you can add it to your list in the back. And, excuse me, we did talk about that ly adverb. This is page 189, but I'm going to have you turn a couple more pages to page 193. This one says quality adjective. And as you come across, maybe in the book you're reading or in something that we're doing in class, and you find an adjective that's a really great descriptive and quality adjective, you can make your own list back here in the back of your book. This is page 193. I'm just showing it to you so that you can use that. And I love lists because it really helps me remember. Sometimes I think of good stuff, but then later I forget. So when I make a list, though, I know I can go back to it and find it. Okay. Now, we're going to start the first page of the lesson this week, which is page 39. Go ahead and turn to page 39. And Alexis, would you please read the sentence to us?
Gardeners of rare roses and lands with soft grass grew around the castle.
Okay, good. This word is actually gardens. And then this one is lawns. So gardens of rare roses and lawns with soft grass grew around the castle. Okay, and our vocabulary word is rare. And rare means not very common, unusual. That's what rare means. So they're probably like really, I've seen a lot of red roses and pink roses and white roses, but maybe they're like, I don't know, maybe purple roses or something like that we don't see very often. Or maybe they're like orange rose. I haven't seen an orange rose very often. So rare just means ones that aren't very common. So you can go ahead and put a check by vocabulary. All right, and then over here with articles, don't forget we always do this. Some of you forgot to do this on your homework. Make sure you write these in on your homework too, because that's going to help you. Some of you forgot to do that. Up here by where it says article, put a, comma, an, comma, the. Alexis, did you have a question?
Do you want us to do this in pen or in pencil?
Pencil, please, for this one, because this is just In case you make a mistake, it's okay to erase in this book.
Okay.
Thank you. All right, and we have a and the. Here's the, so we're going to put AR for article above the word the. We're going to move through this a little bit faster today, so I'm going to do most of the talking on this part because we have so much to cover. And Delilah, I see your hand there. Did you have a question?
Yeah, I already did this page because I just did it.
Oh, just now?
Yeah.
Okay, then you can just listen for a minute so we can catch up to you, okay?
Okay.
All right. And then you can make sure you did it correctly as we go through this. So the nouns, Delilah, how about you go ahead and tell us what the nouns are in the sentence? There's 5 of them.
Okay, the first noun is gardens, the second
Okay.
noun is roses,
Okay.
the third noun is lawn, the fourth noun is grass, and the last noun is castle.
You got it. Awesome. Excellent job. And then we've got some adjectives. Now remember, we look for those nouns, and then a lot of times the word before will tell us what kind or whose. So let's look at this noun, roses. Cassie, what word before that tells us what kind of roses are they?
Rare.
Awesome, yes. So rare is an adjective, and you're just going to put ADJ. It's telling what kind of roses. So rare is the adjective. And how about Christian? If we have the word grass, this is a noun. What kind of grass? What word describes what kind of grass?
Soft.
Good. Soft grass. And that's it. Those are 2 adjectives in that sentence. Obviously, we need a capital G for the beginning, and we need a period at the end. So we got those 2 things too. Now you can rewrite your sentence at the bottom, and then we'll move on to the next thing.
I already rewrote it.
Good. You can just relax for a second then. Your homework, as you guys are writing your sentence, your homework is going to be the next 3 pages like we usually do. So pages 40, 41, and 42. That will be your homework for this week. Let's see here. Okay. Okay. As soon as you get that sentence written, go ahead and move your book aside. We're done with grammar for today. And you need your binder next. And your binder, we're going to talk about another dress-up technique. Remember we talked about ly adverbs last time? And we've been using those and practicing those. So I need you to get out this page. It should be at the very front of your binder. I wanted you to keep it there because we're going to get it out often. So go ahead and it's a yellow page. It's called Stylistic Techniques at the top. My light is causing a glare here. Let's see if I can fix that. Okay. It's called Stylistic Techniques. It's a yellow page. Give me a thumbs up if you have that in front of you. Okay, good. Christian, are you looking for it? It should be page 27, and it's yellow. Last time I asked you to put it at the very front of your binder, so you got to make sure you have it at the very, very front. That's where we're keeping it. Do you have yours, Delilah?
Yeah.
Okay, good. It looks like Christian might still be looking for it. It's Stylistic Techniques. I don't know if you would have had it. Oh, did you find it? Okay, So we should have on your list already, number 1, you should have ly adverbs. Do you have that on yours? Because we already did that one, right? And then the next one is the one we're going to talk about today. So for number 2, I want you to write who and which, like that. See how I have a little slash there? Who / which. For number 2 on your dress up list. And that's what we're going to talk about today. We're going to add more style to your writing. We've already started adding ly adverbs, which has been really fun and fun to describe what's happening in your stories. And those ly words really bring your story to life. Well, the who which is also going to do that for you. It's going to be pretty fun to use that. Okay, so we're going to talk for a minute about who which. And when we use that part of a sentence, we're going to add a who which clause, which is just a few words. Did you have a question, Delilah? Okay.
Very crisp. Sorry.
Okay, so go ahead and I just wanted you to add who which to this list. So you can put this back in your binder, but please make sure to put it at the very, very, very front of your binder in the rings, okay? So that you can find it again when we're ready to add more to this. But that's all we're adding to that list right now.
Is it behind?
No, not behind anything. It'll be in the very, 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 very front.
Okay.
Yeah, and we're going to keep it there for a while so it's easy to find. And while you're doing that, a who which clause begins with who or which. Okay, those are the 2 words you're going to be using with other words in your story. So it's a dependent clause, which means it will be added to a sentence that's already complete. And you're going to add this to your sentences. So if your sentence is talking about a person, you're going to use the word who. If the sentence is talking about an animal or a thing, you're going to use the word which. Now there's one exception to that rule, because sometimes our animals talk in our stories, right? Like the fox and the stork, they're having dinner and they're eating together. So in that kind of a story, even though you have an animal, you're going to use the word who because it has personality. So who is what you use with people or personality, animals with personalities.
It has
And we use which for things. Okay, hold on, Christian. Let me finish explaining, then I'll give you a chance to talk about it. You're going to use which for things or animals that are just plain animals that are not talking in your story. All right, do you notice that sometimes when you do your writing, it's hard not to start using and a lot? Like if I asked you to write about your summer vacation, you might have said, we went to the beach and my grandma was there and my dog was there and the dog ran in the water. And then we went to have a corn dog. And after that, we played in the water again. And I got sunburned because I forgot to wear my sunscreen. But see how it's like, and. And it just kind of gets boring that way, right? You're using the same type of word over and over again. But if you switch it up a little bit and add who or which, it can really make your sentences sound a lot better and a lot easier to read. So this is something other than and that you can use. So let me give you an example. I'm going to say Wyatt went to the store and bought milk. That's an example of a sentence. Wyatt went to the store and bought milk. But if we wanted to make it more stylish, I could say Wyatt, who went to the store, bought milk. You hear the difference on those 2 sentences? So I could say Wyatt went to the store and bought milk, or Wyatt, who went to the store, bought milk. Now it sounds a little bit more like it has style to it. This is how we change it up a little bit. Now what if I say Wyatt bought some milk and it was spoiled? We could say Wyatt bought some milk which was spoiled. That would not be good if it was spoiled, right? That would taste nasty. I wouldn't want to drink that. So that's how you could change that sentence though. Wyatt bought some milk and it was spoiled. Hopefully he got his money back. Let's just say that. But we can switch that now to Wyatt bought some milk, which was spoiled, because we're talking about the milk. It's a thing, so we'll use the word which. Alexis, do you have a question?
And that is why you always check the expiration date before you leave the store.
Absolutely. And I always check all of them and find the newest one of everything. It takes me a while to shop because I like to find the newest stuff. Christian, do you have a question too?
So, would you say who for talking food?
Talking food.
Was that
Okay.
in
If you're writing a story about food and the food is talking to each other, is that your question?
Yeah.
Yes, then you would use who. That's a good example. I wouldn't have thought of that one, but anytime you have any kind of character that's talking, you would use who. That's a good question.
Because I've seen a couple of commercials with food talking.
Okay. Yeah, you can, and if you're writing something about that, yes, you would use who for that. Okay, now let's pretend for a minute that Delilah drank the milk that Wyatt bought and she got sick. We don't want that to happen, but let's just pretend. Sorry, Delilah. So Delilah drank the milk and she got sick. So we can change that to Delilah, who drank the milk, got sick. Do you hear how it changed a little bit? Delilah, who drank the milk, got sick. Or we could say, Delilah drank the milk, which made her sick. So you see how I'm using who and which back and forth here to give you examples on how to use who and which in your sentences. Now let's think about this. What if Delilah made a mess and Wyatt had to clean it up? Right? Because it's Wyatt's fault that he bought the spoiled milk and now Delilah's sick. So good luck with that, Wyatt. So let's say Delilah made a mess and Wyatt had to clean it up. How could we change that to use who or which? We're going to talk about the mess. So when you're talking about a thing, you're going to use the word which. So how would you fix that, Delilah, to use the word which in that sentence?
You can put C or like that.
You could say Delilah made a mess, which Wyatt had to clean up, right? Delilah made a mess, which Wyatt had to clean up. What about you, Christian? Did you have an example?
Delilah, who made a mess. Yeah, I don't know.
Delilah, who made a mess, made Wyatt clean it up. How about that? She made Wyatt clean it up. It's your fault, Wyatt. All right, in your binder on page 43, go ahead and get page 43 out of your binder. Looks like this.
49.
43. It's white, page 43, and it says practice with who, which clauses. And you'll need a pencil for this one.
Which section is it in?
It's in the regular section because you haven't organized this part of your binder yet. I'm still trying to figure out how to do that virtually because it's really hard to teach where these things can go. But this is a who, which clause, and it should be just in the main section of your binder for now. And it's page 43. You might have moved it to the stylistic techniques if you rearranged your whole binder. Okay, anybody still trying to find it?
Found it.
Got it? Okay. Do you have it, Wyatt? Good, okay. How about Christian? Do you have it? Page 43? Good. Cassie, you have it? Okay, how about Delilah? I don't see you anymore for some reason. Your video feed stopped. Oh, there you are. Did you find 43 yet?
Yeah, I have it.
Oh, good. Okay. So here's what we're going to do. We're going to practice changing some of these sentences and practice putting in who or which. So number 1 says, Annabelle made a cake. It pleased her siblings. So this is actually 2 sentences that we can combine into one sentence. So Annabelle made a cake. We're talking about the cake, which is the thing. So we're going to use the word which in this one. Annabelle made a cake which pleased her siblings. See how we made that into one sentence now? So go ahead and write that. I'm just going to do this first one for you, and then we'll take turns practicing the other ones. So Annabelle, you're copying the first part of the sentence, made a cake, and then you're going to put a comma, because a comma always goes with the who, which clause, okay? Which pleased her siblings. Siblings means like brothers and sisters. So Annabelle made a cake which pleased her siblings. So there's an example of changing a plain sentences or 2 plain sentences and now adding a who which clause in place of that and changing it into one sentence. Okay, let's just look at the next one. This one we might have a couple of examples here. Joe ate too much pizza. He got sick. Uh-oh, we're talking about getting sick again. Joe ate too much pizza. He got sick. So think about the word who. And how could we add who to this sentence and make it these 2 sentences and make it make sense? How can we add who and make it make sense? Okay, Christian, what do you think?
Joe, who ate too much pizza, got sick.
Nice. Let's write that. And now we're going to use some commas around the who clause. So Joe, who, go ahead and write this down, ate too much pizza. Put that comma there because we're putting it around the who which clause. Got sick. That was good, Christian. Joe, who ate too much pizza, got sick. See how we changed that? And now it has a little bit more style to the writing than just plain. Joe ate too much pizza, he got sick. That's kind of plain. But now it's got style. Joe, who ate too much pizza, got sick. What if we wanted to use which? How could we fit which in those 2 sentences? Going back to the original here, Joe ate too much pizza, he got sick. How could we use which in that sentence? Wyatt, do you have an idea?
No, I do not.
I'm going to start with this. Maybe this will help you. Go ahead and write this part down. Joe ate too much pizza. Now we can add which. Well, how can I finish that sentence? What do you think, Cassie? How could we use which here? Joe ate too much pizza, which
He got sick.
made him sick, right?
I say that.
Okay, good. I saw your hand there, but I was trying to get some other students to figure it out since you already gave me some answers. You were on the right track, Cassie, but that makes sense. Joe ate too much pizza, which made him sick, because now we're talking about the pizza. The pizza made him sick, so we use the word which. When you're talking about a thing, you use which. When you're talking about a person, like the first one, Joe, who, right? You're talking about a person. So you use who. The next one, my mother is a piano teacher. She cares greatly for her students. So how can we use the word who? Let's see if, Wyatt, can you try this one? using these two sentences, how can we put them together and use the word who? If you need help, I
My
can.
mother is a piano teacher, which she cares greatly for her students.
You are on the right track. You are definitely on the right track. Instead of using which, though, we're talking
Who?
about a person. Yeah, so try it with who. You're on the right track. Try it one more time with.
My mother is a piano artist who cares greatly for her students.
Yes, there we go. My mother is a piano teacher. Oops, I put that too close together. Who cares greatly for her students. Good job, Wyatt. And we need some commas here, right before who. So my mother is a piano teacher, comma, who cares greatly for her students. Since it's at the end of the sentence, we don't need that second comma, but sometimes we put it in the middle of a sentence like this one. Joe, who ate too much pizza, got sick. So see how we put commas around it because we put that one in the middle of the sentence. And remember how I told you it's dependent? So I could take that out and it would just say Joe got sick. That's technically still a sentence, Joe got sick. But we added this part in the middle, so that's why we put commas around it. Joe, who ate too much pizza, got sick. And then this one we just did has only one comma because it's at the end of the sentence. My mother is a piano teacher who cares greatly for her students. Good. Now, let's see. Cassie. Picasso is a famous artist. Have you guys heard of Picasso before? He's the guy that does like the faces are all crazy and he's got like a nose over here and an eye over there and an ear upside down, and he does kind of like weird art like that. And this sentence says Picasso was a painter. His paintings now sell for millions of dollars, and that is the truth. Isn't that crazy? Millions of dollars for a painting. So Cassie, how can we add, let's try adding which to those sentences. How can we do which? So it needs to be referring to a thing. So maybe think about his paintings. And how would you put those sentences together using which?
Maybe you could say Picasso was a painter whose paintings sell now for millions of dollars.
Yes, that's with who. Yes, that's a great one. Whose, and you used whose. I heard that. Let's write that one actually. That's a really good example because sometimes it's okay to use whose instead of who. So Picasso was a painter. And then that's where our comma goes. And then you said whose, which is perfect. Whose paintings now sell for millions of dollars. I can't imagine spending millions of dollars on a painting, but there are people that have that kind of money that are okay spending that kind of money on a painting. And Cassie, did you have a question?
Also, I read a horse named Picasso.
Ah, that's cute. That's a cute horse name. I love it. All right, this next one, I'm gonna see if Delilah can help me figure out this one. And I'm looking for the word which to put in these sentences this time. So it says, I work hard to earn money and I am saving for a jet ski. If you don't know what a jet ski is, it's one of those, it's kind of like a miniature boat. It's one person. You sit on it almost like a motorcycle and then you can ride it around on the water. That's a jet
I have a jet ski.
Ah, awesome.
We have a bunch of them.
Oh, wow. That sounds fun. You can have races, huh?
We drive them around the thing, around the lakes, and when we go to the lake, and we bring our boat with our inner tubes, and we just tie up to a rope from the inner tube to the boat, and then we just drive around and try and knock people off the inner tube.
Oh my gosh, how fun. That sounds great. I would love to do that. I've never
We
done
do
that
it so
before.
often. It's a main attraction for us.
I bet a main attraction. That's great, Wyatt. That sounds so fun. I love stuff like that. All right. So I work hard to earn money and I'm saving for a jet ski. So Delilah, are you still there?
Yeah.
Okay, how can I use the word which?
Okay. I work super hard to earn money, which I can save for a jet ski.
Good. Yes, I like it.
Thanks.
I work, and I know you put super hard, so why not? Let's put super in there because that tells me you really want the jet ski, right? I work super hard to earn money, and then comma, which I am saving for a jet ski. I'll give you a second to write that down. I work super hard to earn money, which I am saving for a jet ski. And you use the word which because it's talking about the money, and that's a thing. So like I said, anytime you're talking about a thing, you're going to use which. If you're talking about a person or what we call a personified animal, which is basically an animal that has personality that's talking or something, you use who. Okay, last little part here. We're going to identify these sentences. We're going to identify if the sentence is complete or incomplete. So I have here number 1, I have a special pen which I use for writing poetry. That sounds complete to me. It makes sense, right? And it's using the word which, and it works. I have a special pen which I use for writing poetry. Go ahead and write a C for complete.
Grandma asked for more honey.
Oh, that's right.
And then number 2 says, my father who loves hiking and hunting. That one doesn't sound complete, right? Because it feels like you need something more. It says, my father who loves hiking and hunting. Maybe it should say, went on a camping trip with his friends or went on a hiking trip with his friends or something like that. But it's missing something, right? It's just telling us who he is, but it doesn't tell us what's happening. So that one is actually incomplete. So you can put an I for that one. Delilah, go ahead and mute your Zoom link there, okay? There you go. And then the third one says, I met a man who said he could eat a horse. Obviously, that's not a true story, but it's a silly story. I met a man who said he could eat a horse. So that makes sense as far as it's complete, even though it doesn't make sense because who was going to eat a horse? No, we don't eat horses. So, but I think it's just a saying like he was so hungry he could eat a horse. Have you guys ever heard that saying before?
I ate a horse.
You did?
I ate a house before too.
Oh.
I ate you before too.
Goofy.
Is that
All right,
that meme from SpongeBob? I used to run these things for miles.
Now we are done with this page. So what I want you to do now is put this in the front of your binder with your other yellow page, because you're going to be referring back to this as you're doing your who, which clauses. So put this at the front of your binder, very, very, very front for now, and we'll move it later, but for now we want it at the very front. And then go ahead and get out your fox and the stork homework that you did, the story you wrote for homework. Good job, you guys, on your homework, by the way. I've been reading your stories, and they're great. You guys are getting this. I'm so happy. I'm going to show you the original story, but I want you to have your version of the story out. And I'm just going to have you watch me for this part first, okay? So you don't have to write anything yet. Just watch me on this. I'm going to look at the very first sentence of the original, and you can look at the screen with me. The very first, we read this last week, so we know about this story. The first sentence says, "A fox invited a stork to supper and served him soup in a shallow bowl." And I'm just looking at that first sentence, and I want to use the word who, and I'm talking about characters that are animals, but they have personality. So I'm going to use the word who for them. So what I would do to add who to this sentence, I'm going to actually pick a spot. And I'm going to put here a fox, and not, you don't have to do this, just watch me, okay? You don't have to do this part. Who, a fox, and I need a comma here, who invited a stork to supper, comma, and I'm going to take out this word and, served him soup in a shallow bowl. Now my sentence says, a fox who invited a stork to supper served him soup in a shallow bowl. Do you see how I added a who clause? The who clause is who invited a stork to supper. I had to take that word out because it didn't fit with and in there, so I just put one line through it. So now what I want you to do is look at your version of the fox and the stork that you did for homework. And I want you to just look at your first sentence. So Christian, can you read us your first sentence that you have in your version of the story?
Fox. I meant to put a fox, but I just put fox back.
Oh, okay. You can fix that. Okay, tell us what your sentence says.
For soup.
Oh, I think you froze for a second. Try it one more time, Christian.
A fox invited a stork over for soup.
Okay, good. So how could you add who to that sentence, a who clause? Think about how you would add who to that.
A fox who invited a stork. Wait, let me think.
Yeah, you can think about it.
A fox who invited a stork over for soup.
Okay, you're on the right track, but you do need something at the end. So how about you say a fox who invited the stork for supper, maybe, and then had soup together or something like that. How does that sound, Christian?
Yeah.
Yeah. So try it with that. A fox who invited the stork to supper served him soup. See how when you said it, it kind of left us hanging, right? You said a fox who invited the stork for soup. It leaves us hanging. It's like, what happened? What happened though? That didn't quite complete. You could say they had a good time together, or they didn't have a very good time together because the stork couldn't drink the soup, right? So maybe they had a frustrating time or something like that, but you need something at the end of that. Okay, keep thinking, Christian. You're on the right track though. How about Wyatt? What's your first sentence in your story?
A fox invited a stork to lunch who served him vegetable soup in a shallow bowl.
Good. You put who in there. Good job. So in the way you said it, you don't need another comma, just one comma right before who, and then you can finish that sentence. So say it one more time for us.
A fox invited a stork to lunch and who and the and wait, what? It's a little messy.
Yeah. Okay, try that again.
A fox invited a stork to lunch and served and who served him vegetable soup in a shallow bowl.
Okay, I'm thinking about this now that you're reading it a second time because you're talking about the soup. So instead of using who, try using which. So you said a fox invited a stork to lunch. Which?
Yeah, I see
Try
how
that
that
again.
will work.
Yeah, try it with which and see how that sounds.
A fox invited a stork to lunch and which served him vegetable soup in a shallow bowl.
Okay, you changed it up again. Let me think about this. First of all, you need to take out the word and because you don't want to say and which or and who. That doesn't really make sense. So just draw one line through and. A fox invited a stork to supper, and then you're talking about the supper, and you said it was vegetable soup in a shallow
Yes.
bowl. So how about this? A fox invited a stork to lunch, which was vegetable soup in a shallow bowl. How's that sound?
Pretty good.
Because you're talking
I think I
about-
can actually put on some things to it.
Yeah.
I think I might. I don't have anything right now, but I think I could.
Okay, so just remember this, guys. This is how I want you to remember this because he was mixing up who and which. You got to think about what part of the sentence you're talking about. If he's talking about the fox who invited the stork, that's when you use who. But he was talking about the lunch, and it says supper in the original version, and he changed it to lunch, and that's okay. But if he's talking about the lunch, you need to use the word which. Okay, so you're talking about the lunch, which was vegetable soup. You see where I'm going with that? It really depends on what part you're elaborating on. So let's
Yeah.
try one more. Cassie, what's your first sentence in your story?
My first sentence is a fox invited a stork to have soup, but the plate was too shallow.
Okay, good. So you could add either who or which to that story. Or that sentence. Think for a second how you want to do that. But you can use who or which and try reading it one more time using one of those words. Make sure you unmute because you're still muted. There you go.
Maybe a fox invited a stork to have soup, but the plate was
Let's think about that. A fox invited a stork to have soup, which was. How could you finish that, Cassie? Which was. The fox invited a stork to have soup, which was served
too shallow.
in a shallow bowl. You could say that. Yeah, exactly. Okay, so think about that. When you guys add that to your sentence, you're going to think about, are you talking about a person? And you're going to use who, or an animal who, or which, if you're talking about the soup. Okay, we'll learn more about that again. I want to talk to you really quick about your homework. You're going to be reading the story called Camels for your homework. Camels is on page 41. Now you don't need to get it out yet, okay? But I will put that in your homework. You do need a clean piece of paper, and I'm going to help you set up your keyword outline for camels. Okay, so go ahead and get out a clean piece of paper, and you can use a pen or a pencil for this. And you're going to put your name up here like you always do at the top left, first and last name. Today is October 18, 2022. Go ahead and write this down just like how I have it. This is for your homework. I'm just helping you get your page set up for your homework. Okay. Whoops. Hold on a second. And then you're going to skip a line and write camels. That's the name of your story that you're going to work on. And then you're going to put keyword outline. We're going to practice that a few more times because we want to make sure you got that down really good. Now, this story is a little bit longer. So the only thing you're going to do this week is the keyword outline. You don't have to rewrite it or anything. You're just going to focus on the keyword outline. But this story has 2 paragraphs. So I wanted to make sure you know how to set up your outline. So you're going to skip a line and put on the side here Roman numeral 1. And then you're going to number 1 to 9, like this. Go ahead and copy what I have, okay? This is for your homework. Okay, and then skip a line after your 9. Go back over here to the side, and this is what a Roman numeral number 2 looks like. It looks like 2 lines down and then across the top and bottom. That's what Roman numeral 2 looks like because this is a longer story. It has 2 paragraphs. So Roman numeral 2, and then you're going to do the same thing. Go down here and count to 9. Okay, I know that seems like a lot, but all you're doing is reading the story Camels and finding your 3 keywords per sentence, and that's your homework. That's it. You don't have to do anything after that. Okay, but I wanted to help you set this up. So use this page for your homework. So you have those pages in grammar to do. Those 3 pages in grammar, and then you're going to read the story Camels. It looks like this. Let me show you. And I'll put all this in the Google Classroom so you can see what page and all that you need to go to. Here's the story Camels. It's 1 page, but it does have 2 paragraphs. So you're going to make your keyword outline for each paragraph, and that's your homework. Okay, any questions about that? You guys understand what to do? And we're going to talk some more about the who, which clause because I really want you to get familiar with how to make those in your writing because that's going to really help your writing a lot. It's a little tricky to figure out how to change a sentence to make that who, which work, but we'll keep working on that as we go. All right, you guys, awesome job today. We learned a lot. It was like we had to just blast through everything, but you guys did great, and I will see you next week. If you're a Heartland student, when you request your November certificate, ask for 3 weeks because we're going to take Thanksgiving week off. Okay, no class on Thanksgiving week. If you're not a Heartland person, you will only pay $60 for the month of November because we're only doing 3 weeks in November. So just to give you a heads up on that. And that's it. Have a great week, you guys. I'll see you next time.
Bye.
Bye.
Goodbye. Have a good day.
Bye.
You
Bye,
too.
I'm
Have a good day.
Oh, don't say nothing.
I'm never gonna leave it.
Oh, I thought she was gonna say I'll never see.